All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. Hope you got your coffee. I've got mine here. And welcome to what is this? The third installment? Something like that? Third, fourth? Hell, I can't remember. Installment of my 2 p.m. sales espresso shot series. For those of you that are new to this, what we're doing is doing a 15-minute kind of quick overview of a critical topic that will leave you with an actionable takeaway so that you can actually use something that you hear today immediately when you get off the call. All right. So today's topic, as you all know, is handling the rate shopper. Now, contrary to what my constant contact email said, it is not handing the rate shipper. I cannot believe I made two typo errors in the same email. That's just, I mean, because I'm that guy that makes fun of everybody. Anyway, handling the rate shopper. All right. So, just so you know, again, I'm the same guy. Guy in the picture is me. And if y'all are not connected with me, please do me a favor. Scan that QR code, add me, link with me on LinkedIn, all that kind of fun stuff. And I'd love to connect. All right. So let's dive right in because I like to keep these at 15 minutes or less because I know y'all are busy and want to get back to your day. So, why do consumers shop? Why do borrowers rate shop us? I think it's important to understand the why behind it before we go into the what we're going to do, how we're going to fix it. Okay. So why do consumers shop? And the answer is actually really simple. They've been conditioned to. And guys, the recent news with the Rocket acquisition, it's not going to get any better. All right. They have been conditioned to rate shop. Everyone's like, oh, you got to shop at the best rate. That kind of thing. No, 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 no. They've been conditioned to shop, though. That's a problem. They think that rate is all that matters in a mortgage. And as mortgage professionals, we know that this is only one critical piece of the larger overall picture, right? And for those of y'all that have been in my trainings before, I reference this pretty often, but there was an MBA survey done a few years back. This is before COVID now, where they polled some number of thousands of borrowers and asked them what was the most important piece of your mortgage experience. All right. And getting a good rate was number three on that list behind closing on time and understanding the transaction and understanding the process. And I think that still holds true today based off what I'm hearing around the country. All right. So again, they think rate is all that matters, and it's up to us as professionals to help them understand that that's only a piece of the puzzle. And a lot of times, folks want to go into this and they just don't know what else to say or ask for. So they go to the only thing that they know. They say, hey, well, I mean, I know that there's going to be an interest rate, right? I'll ask about that to start this conversation up. These are the three main things. Now, there are several others, but these are the three most commonly referenced ones whenever a borrower is asking you, think about these, okay? So that's why they shop. Now, before we go into how to handle this properly, couple of things to remember because this whole thing today is really under the pretense of two things. One is that we are the experts. Two, again, rates are only part of the transaction. We know there are five different criteria that go into determining the rate. And then four, we have to control the conversation. It is our job to dictate it. So all these things are under the guise of helping the consumer as best that they can. And two, remembering we are not a commodity. The commoditization of the loan officer is a different topic for a different day, right? But if we remember these four things, that's going to help us tremendously. Because once we remember that we're the experts and they're coming to us for advice, guidance, and expertise, it makes that conversation go a whole lot different. It's remembering the difference between being an order taker, which we don't want to be, right, and an actual loan producer, which is what we want to do. Okay. So, what is our goal? in this phone call. Now, guys, people are going to shop your rate, as you know. It's possible to have it anytime during the transaction. That's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk simply about the phone call that you get that says, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm looking for a rate," or somebody comes in your office and it's that initial "I don't know you from Adam's house, cat" kind of conversation. All right. So our goal as loan officers, now this is not our goal for the transaction. This is just our goal for this conversation, is we want to get the borrower to exchange their time for our knowledge. All right. We don't want to just give some piece of information that isn't factually correct just because they asked for it. And I see a lot of times loan officers do this because they think they're actually servicing their customer. Well, the customer asked for it. I'm giving them what they want, so I'm doing a good job. Unfortunately, you're actually not doing a good job. And top producers around the country will tell you that. Our second goal is to get the borrower talking to us by asking open-ended questions. And open-ended questions are a common theme in a lot of my trainings because we want to avoid the yes and no's as much as possible. But by asking open-ended questions, that is going to be a big step into handling that rate call effectively. All right. And three, it's our job as loan officers to help remove the borrower's tunnel vision that has them fixated on interest rate and gets them to start to see the bigger picture. You'll kind of grow that concept with them as the loan matures and progresses, but this is the first time that you have a chance to take those blinders off and help them see the forest for the trees. Okay. So before we go into what to do, it's always important to know what not to do, right? So what you don't want to do is if you get a phone call, and I know that most of y'all on here are like, well, yeah, no shit, Skip. Don't give a rate immediately. You would be shocked, or maybe you wouldn't be shocked, how many times LOs will get these phone calls and someone will say, "Hey, what's your rate?" They'll say, "Oh, rates are right around 5.875 today." What? You don't know anything about this person. Why are you doing that? Okay. So what you don't do is you don't give a rate immediately. You don't lose control of your emotions, especially if you're busy. You're getting a lot of these calls, or for any other reason, you don't want to get frustrated or sound agitated that someone's asking because you don't want to be like, "Oh God, not another one of y'all." You don't want to do that, and that's easier said than done a lot of times, but it's something to really keep in mind. And also, you don't want to end that call without next steps because that actually reinforces the fact that people view us as a commodity if we simply end the call there. Yeah, we gave you some rate information, hung up the phone, said, have a great day as they leave your office, and you don't have any next steps done. Then all of a sudden, what you're going to do is you're going to pick up the phone, a couple of days later, 3 days later, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. You're going to talk to them and be like, "Oh, yeah, 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 I appreciate the information. I'm actually working with ABC Lender instead," because they helped set the stage for the entire transaction off of that call. So you cannot end the call without next steps. All right. So those are three things that you don't want to do. And you know what? And I want to add a fourth to this, actually, while I'm thinking about it. You don't want to get in cruise control because that also means that you're not invested in that phone call. And it's easy to do things without thinking about it, like you start giving out rate information without the proper knowledge of the borrower situation. You can let your day affect you. So if you're in cruise control, it's easy to do these three things. So keep that in mind too. All right. So how do we do all those things that I referenced a minute ago in such a short amount of time, in such a small amount of time? Well, you guys know I love an acronym, right? So I use the PAID method. And what this stands for is that your response to the question that the borrower is asking, the potential borrower is asking, you should positively affirm and acknowledge what they're asking you. All right. You should ask open-ended questions. You should share some information with them in turn, not just rate. I'm talking about share some information about the loan process to start the educational process. And you should direct and dictate the way the conversation goes. All right. And what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to show y'all just some really brief examples of what I mean by what you should do. Okay. Now, before I go into this, these are by no means exhaustive. There are 1,000 different ways that you can have this conversation. And in fact, this entire slide deck here, these are all things I've pulled from my MLO prospecting bootcamp, where I go into a whole lot more detail about all these different things and what motivates borrowers, how, the psychology behind why you're saying certain things, what you ask certain questions, dictating the direction of the call, so on and so forth. But today, obviously, in our 15 minutes, and now I've only got 4 minutes left. I've got a set amount of time. So I want to go over some possible responses to the common question. All right. Borrower comes in. Hey, I'm looking to buy a house. I've been calling around about rates, want to know what you can offer me. We've all heard this 1,000 times. Okay. And what most people do, and your more experienced LOs, they do a decent job of this. But what you want to do is you always want to answer this question with a question. All right. But you want to do it within the paid framework. All right. So you can say, oh, that's very exciting. It's awesome that you're looking to buy a house. It's a great time to do it. Hey, I'm kind of curious. Where are you in the home buying process? Okay. Or where have you been pre-approved so far? What realtor are you working with? None of these questions are yes and no, as you can see. All right. These are just some good examples. What homes have you been looking at? Of things that you can ask to get the information that's necessary to actually talk about pricing with this borrower, and it serves as a discovery call at this point as well. 85% of the time, you are going to be faced with a borrower calling you that if you start asking these types of questions, y'all, you will get them on the phone talking to you and start having a good conversation and a solid lead at that point. All right. That said, this is 85%. What about everyone's horror stories, right? You know, borrower say, you start asking questions, borrower comes back, says, I'm just really just trying to get your rates, man. I don't have time to talk. All right. This has happened to us all. Luckily, this is only about 8 to 10% of the calls that you're going to get. And this is where you have a chance to really follow the paid method. Hey, I understand and really appreciate your call. Most of my clients are crazy busy too. I'd love to get you some rate information after I learn more about you and your situation, which will only take about 15 minutes. Do you have time now, or should we set a call for a more convenient time? What we did here is we positively affirmed. We asked, we asked a question. Do you have time to talk now? We informed them that it takes about 15 minutes. So we're sharing some different things. Excuse me. And this will almost immediately disarm the customer. And I've seen this work so well over the years. And this will take care of almost everybody in that 10% bracket. Now, suppose you got somebody who's really, really belligerent, right? Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up, right? So borrower comes back and says, neither. I just want your best rate, man. Well, at this point, you're probably getting a little irritated. We've all had phone calls like this, right? And this, I actually type it out. If you'll notice, the responses get longer the more belligerent the ask is, right? But it's just going to type it all out here. But this gives you a chance, again, to reinforce what all is necessary to get them the best price. I'm not going to read this off to you. You guys can read it. But again, you are trying to dictate the way the conversation goes at that very end sentence. Says, do you have a few minutes to share some information with me? And if they still don't want to talk, guys, look, luckily, this is only about 3 to 5% of the conversations that you're ever going to have with prospective buyers or refinance candidates. So we don't want to focus too much on this, but stick to your guns, okay? I was actually talking to one of the top 10 producing LOs in the country probably about 10 days ago. And we were talking about this very thing, and he said, Skip, at that point, what I usually do is I say, look, if you want some rate information, Mr. Borrower, here's the website for Freddie Mac. They post the rate information every week. It's like, man, that's pretty gutsy. I don't know if I would do it that way, but there's a number of different ways that you can still end the call positively. Okay. One of the best ways that I think you can do it is if you've reached this point, give them a range, a broad range. But again, we don't want to focus on this. We want to focus on these folks because that's the 85%. This is where it's really going to be possible to establish a relationship. So I encourage y'all, sit down, think of different questions you can ask that aren't yes or no, and use those next time someone calls you looking for rate information. All right. Again, I can go into a lot more detail on this on my MLO prospecting boot camps. But today, that's all I got for you today, guys. I really appreciate it. Please scan this, do a brief survey for me. Take you about 90 seconds. And any other feedback you have, I'd love to hear it. Hope you guys have a great day. And I will be announcing our next week's topic, which will be on Wednesday. I'm actually out Thursday. It'll be Wednesday. But I will announce that tomorrow. So have a great day, guys.